Hi, my name is Ujjwal. I'm from Team Uptime Linked. This is a small video basically catching up on all the new features that we've integrated into the web app. In the last 15 days or so, me and my team have been on the road meeting our existing customers, and we've been showcasing our product to them, and we've been showcasing all the features. So we've had very deep discussions with our existing customers on how they are using the data that is provided by Uptime Linked in its reports every day. Based on that, we have created a few new features जो already derived data को use करके they were making sense out of it in their own way. We met one customer, हमें लगा जो ये कर रहे हैं that will be beneficial for all the customers that we have. So based on such conversations, such good conversations with our existing users, there are some new features that are now available for everyone. वहीं से start करते हैं. So this is the what you see on the screen is the first feature, which is the cockpit view. You see this right after login, and I'll just take a minute to explain ये सब क्या बताता है. A cockpit view is basically for anyone who wants to have a look at their factory's operations at a glance. जिसके पास बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है to go in depth, probably a business owner, for example, like an MD of a company, a general manager, who just wants to see location wise मेरे जो भी factories हैं, how well are they performing, if they're not performing, what could be the reason, and then relay that information or get a query or query the same with the right let's say supervisor or a manager. So the first view that you see over here is live stats. This is a view that updates every 20 seconds. What it shows is that in this location, there are 7 machines that are currently active, and by active it means it's actually working on something. 3 are idle and 2 are offline. Very self-explanatory, of course. But if I want to have a deeper dive into it, that, like for example, which 2 machines are offline right now? So I will just click on this. I will get a list of all the machines that are currently offline. Similarly, I can click on idle and see which machines are currently on but not working on something. And this updates every few seconds. So this section is your previous day's utilization, again location wise. Now this shows 2 parameters. One is active utilization and one is overall utilization of the whole factory. What this means is active utilization is the active percentage calculated by the machines or calculated for the machines that worked even once in the whole day. So हो सकता है आपके पास 10 machines हैं and आपके production plan में आज 2 machines का कोई काम नहीं था and वो पूरे दिन off रहने वाली थी. So you may want to see what was the utilization of the machines that were actually working yesterday. तो वो 50.9 हो गया इनके केस में. But including all the machines, even the ones that were not a part of your production plan, that shows you that is given by the overall utilization. So you have a clear picture for both the scenarios. But to see ये picture बना कैसे और actually ये वाला stat बना कैसे, you can go to show details where it will show you all the stats per machine. So I can see that these 2 machines performed really well, which is 78% and 70%. Then it shows you a list of all the machines that were below 70%, and then you can go by it. For example, this machine only, VMC4 only worked for 18.8% time, which could be concerning, and maybe this is where the point of the whole system is. The MD or the stakeholder will actually call the respective department head or the line supervisor and can probably query why was the machine not running well yesterday. Could there be a reason? And then once you start getting into the whys of things, the reasons behind all of this, you start highlighting problems and a solution identify होने लग जाता है. Okay. So this last part shows last 7-day trend. So आप ये जो green line देख रहे हो, this shows you the cumulative hours of all the machines per location in the last 7 days. This dip over here is for Sunday, this was Saturday, and this was Monday, and so on. The red line that you show over here is, so location wise you can actually set a KPI, your key performance indicators, and you can set a target that all, for example, if all my machines are running up to a certain mark, for example 80% of the time at least, then all the machines combined will give me a certain cumulative hours. तो आप उसका एक रेड लाइन बना के एक टारगेट आप सेट कर सकते हो, एंड जस्ट इन अ ग्लांस यू कैन देन सी कि कल परसों and so on, like in the last 7 days, when I touched that mark and when I missed it. And I can also see by how much. And then again, you can always go deeper into further reports, जो हम अभी और आगे discuss करेंगे, and start seeing where the problem was, which machines were not working, and then you can start understanding why. Let's move on to the other new features that we've created. So this is the productivity tab. You probably are already familiar with machine-wise view and date-wise view. So in machine-wise view, let's say we open any, and let's say I want to see the data for January till current date. We've added graphs to visualize data per machine. So what this shows is my active time for both the shifts. So my red is my morning shift, and the blue one is my night shift. And I can see in a graphical form how my shifts are going on. And this shows your active time of the machines. And you can select any machine and you can have a look at their shift wise data. उसके नीचे the stats that you see are pretty much the same. Let's switch to date wise view. So for this date wise view gives me a picture of all the machines, but for a specific date. So let's say I want to see it for yesterday. And what I see is for CNC2, these were the stats. For CNC3, these were the stats, and it's divided in shifts. But there are a few new columns over here. Because we are able to monitor your energy consumption of the machines as well, we show you how many units were consumed in that shift and a cost estimation based on the units consumed. Then you can always feed in some unit produced. ये पहले से ही feature है. But then there's also a new feature called remarks. Remarks there can be any reason. Probably, let's say yesterday there were only 100 units produced, and probably there's a 50% of what we usually produce. So in remarks, you can add some notes for the management to see. For example, the tool was broken, right? And you can save it over here. So whenever you pull out reports, whenever you download reports, whenever somebody else comes to this view, they can see a remark by the line supervisor or the production head, whoever is handling this, and can write a remark over here. These 4 stats are again something that was already available, but because now we are calculating the cost for these units being produced, I can also find the cost of one unit produced in terms of its electricity. Of course, there are more overheads over that, but if I want to find out how much electricity was consumed just to produce one part, I get that number as well, right? So now I have kilowatt hours, I have units produced, which was already there, remarks, and cost per unit produced. Yeah. Along with this, we've also created a whole different view called weekly view. Now what this helps me see is how my machines are progressing, or how my utilization of machines is progressing week on week. So it's an aggregation per week. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं इस मशीन को, एक स्पेसिफिक मशीन जैसे CNC5 को देखते हैं, and we started monitoring this from November. So November 2024, let's not include Sundays. So if I fetch data for this, I can again see graphs for it. Now what this shows me is my orange line is my detected shift time. My yellow line is the actual working hours of the machine. And the green line is what we need to focus on, which is the active percentage. Now what I can see is from November, week on week, you can see how much the slope has increased. You can see the positive slope and how much the percentages have increased over time. You can see some dips, of course, because for example, during this dip, probably the machine was not working properly. Maybe there was a little less load, but overall effect on this machine in the last few weeks, in the last few months, is that the utilization of the machine has increased significantly. So we can pull this out for any machine, of course. As you can see, again, a positive slope over here. What the idea behind this view is that that the management can then review in the past, let's say 1 month, 2 months, or quarter, the decisions that they've been making on the data provided by Uptime linked again. Has there been any improvement, overall improvement in the utilization of machines? And that is the purpose behind this view. So these were the few very important features that I wanted to share with you. We'll be bringing more features. So once we do that, I'll probably make another video and share that with you. Till then, goodbye.